Logistics. I don't know if I should have, but I'm glad I did. I went onto the assignments page just to see some students have submitted already yesterday. And then I realized that when I also received a few emails from students that there will be challenges because not everybody attended all the classes, not everybody watched all the recordings, not everybody is informed. So today's first couple of minutes is a reminder of the following. Some students I know of that emailed me. They emailed me their PDFs, question 2 and question 4. Yeah, 1 and 2, yeah. And I said to them, no. I know the instructions in the assignment says that, but that was done in February when we were still on Zooms and stuff like that, and not on Teams. And Canvas, we still had the original. Remember, we changed it. The original was the PDF, and then we changed it to the current format. So the Turnitin function could actually be activated. Turnitin allows you only to submit one document. Okay, so if you're gonna submit your assignment and then later on try and do your PDF, it's not gonna work. Okay, that's why, and that was one of the challenges. And we also had a challenge with the different dates, the different parts, part A, part B, part C, separate submissions. That was also not gonna work. That's why we converted, and I can recall that we have decided right early on at the start of the semester, there will be one submission date, which is the 3rd of June, and it's one document. So those PDFs that you originally had in a Word document before you PDF'd it to upload it, that needs to be in your assignment. It needs to be one document with question 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, some students haven't done that. I emailed them and I requested that I can remove their submission because they would not be able to submit again if there's already a Mr. Isaacs or a Mrs. Wilson that has submitted. Okay, so for that specific reason, and because we only have class on Thursdays and Fridays, I decided to extend the submission until 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Okay. I haven't posted an announcement. I'll post an announcement still because not everybody will be online and in class. But I thought I'm not going to do that before I haven't spoken to you and informed you of that. If there are students who've done that, you now have to change the assignment to for it to become one document before they submit it. That will allow you at least that extra day to do it. Okay, just to be fair to everybody, your submission closes now 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Okay. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes, sir, that's perfect.
Okay, thanks. There's a question. Yes.
You still have to remove Carl Logic's submission.
I still need to remove Kyle's. Okay. I know Miss Fenter. I removed this yesterday. I'll do Kyle's as well. Okay, no problem. Anybody that has submitted, I'll make that know that these are not correct or as submitted as one document. Please, if you can drop me just a mail and I'll do it immediately. Okay, I've got class after this period, then I'm actually off for a period and I can check it then. But before you submit, if you cannot submit, if you're at that point you want to submit, even if it's 11 o'clock tonight, mail me and say, sorry, I can't. Then I'll remove it. But I'll do the removal as a first action from my side after the 4th period. Now give me half an hour to get home. Then I'll do it when I'm at the study at home. Okay, everybody good with that?
Yes, sir. And then may I please ask a question?
You can ask a question, yes, Mika.
So for question 3.1, with regards to which orientation does Chicken Licken use?
Yes.
I saw two very possible orientations that they could utilize.
Yes.
Is it wrong if you say that the brand uses a combination of 2 orientations? Because it's like there's such a fine line between which one they use, and obviously we have to kind of justify why.
Sure.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're allowed to say that they use a mixture of two, or must we just kind of like on our own knowledge try and decide which of the two they more prominently use?
Mika, you can use a combination. Very often businesses are in the transition between one orientation to the other, and they might be in or sometimes even within a business they have different orientations towards different product ranges and product lines. So yes, you can if you at the end of the day, the important thing is you just motivate it. Okay, you can say that usage. It could be this one, it could also be that one, and you motivate why you say it could be both. It's as simple as that. Always, when you're in doubt with something like that, just also provide a motivation as to why you've made a specific choice. Okay, but yes, there is no casting stone, and also you on the memo, which you unfortunately don't have access to, you will see that if there's different people marking the assignments, the instructions to the markers as well to use their discretion and not just there's not just one model answer. It's not a is the sky blue or red? That's a simple question. Okay, okay, not necessarily.
So much,
But at least there's limited choices, and you can either select one of those. But when it comes to essay-related questions like this or answers like this, obviously, yes, there's room for interpretation, and that we encourage because it gives us, that's why this assessment tool is used, because it gives us an indication that the students have actually thought about it and not just copy and pasted something straight from the textbook. Okay.
Okay, awesome. And then with regards to the infographics that we needed to upload as PDFs,
Yes.
the conversation
Yes.
we just had. So instead of doing that, can we just insert the image of the PDF onto
Yes.
Word?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem at all. Okay, good. That answers a lot of your questions as well. Okay. Let's keep things simple. That's the important thing. And the one thing I still haven't figured out is how these pop-ups can just disappear. But anyway, well, welcome on this Thursday, and good luck for those who've survived the first period of accounting. I know that's a challenging first session. And as a matter of fact, and I've expressed this in the past as well, accounting any time of day is tough. And let's leave it at that. Because, yes, I dropped it at the first. I actually wanted to drop accounting already. When is it grade 9 that you can actually select your subjects? I was given that choice as well. Ons was net op Baaistein, and we were actually standard 6, standard 7. So that was in the standard 7, grade 9. And I did. I didn't have it all the way to matric. And then I decided to do a BCom. And fortunately, I qualified to do it regardless if I haven't had accounting up to grade 12. But that was another 3 years of torture I put myself through. Anyway, and now we pay accountants to do it. Eh? It's amazing. That's how we do. All of you are going to be business owners and entrepreneurs one day. I'm convinced of it. But you are going to. That's one of the first people that you appoint. Somebody that can manage your finances and manage your books. A general knowledge is fine, but yeah, accounting is tough. Anyway, today we'll be dealing with something that is extremely important to all customers, regarding of your social status, what generation you represent, your age or gender or anything. What's the most important thing for any customer about a product? Anybody, online and in class? What's the most important thing? Price, yes. Price. The chapter we're dealing with today is price, and how to not necessarily. And again, people, the textbook. We don't do every single page and every component in this chapter. The slides cover the work that's expected by the curriculum. Okay, so not everything in this chapter is covered. Right, let's go to the learning outcomes of this chapter. What we try to achieve. Yes, a question.
So I left my notepad and pen in the previous class. I'll be running it.
Do you want me to run and get it, or are you going to run and get it?
No.
You can get it, yes. Because I might not return. Price is very important to customers. I think price is even more important at the current state of the world economy. People have lost their jobs as a result of a recession that we were sort of heading towards even before the pandemic. And therefore, customers are very price sensitive. They are extremely sensitive to price, because they will drop the loyalty they have towards a particular customer, a brand or product or company, purely for the fact that that the price is a very sensitive topic to them. I know that a lot of people, a lot of customers are not that sensitive to the price, but for the majority of consumers, price is one of the important things that they consider before they make a final decision. Remember from chapter 3 when we did consumer decision-making process, those 5 steps that the consumer goes through before they buy a product. When it comes to that step 3, where they are evaluating and comparing all the different alternatives to meet the criteria that you've set as a customer to make a decision to purchase, one of those criteria would be budget related and would obviously reflect the price of the product. Okay, so in this chapter, what we will be looking at is the importance of price. Price of what is price? If we have to define price, what is it? And just some terminology to start with, and then also pricing objectives. What different types of objectives do businesses have when they set a price? It will very much be linked to their marketing philosophy and orientation that we did in the first chapter. We're going to have a look at the cost as well as the demand determinants of price. What are the laws of supply? What are the laws of demand? Okay, because that impacts on the price. And then also we will be looking at pricing in difficult times, pricing in economic climates, inflation, recession. Okay, and how businesses try and manipulate to stay in business their pricing strategies. Okay, any questions, anybody online or here in class at the moment? Are you still fine? Are you still awake? You still cool? Still enough energy? It's the 4th day of the week. That means that we are closer to the weekend, and we're further away from the previous weekend. So I mean, it's. I've had very little sleep, and I've had good coffee this morning. That's why I'm still going. At some point, the system is going to just cut out this afternoon. I actually thought on the way in this morning to class that that I might have fell asleep behind the wheel, because I was like, how did I get here? Okay, that's dangerous. But anyway, we all feel like that on a Thursday, and then all of a sudden we wake up you will even do accounting first period on a Friday because it's Friday. You'll bear with it because it's weekend. Okay, but yeah. Let's get back to topic. Topic is price, and how we look at price. We can firstly look at the different terminology that's important. What is price? Price is basically what you as a customer sees as valuable to exchange for something that you are going to get in the form of a product or a service that's going to satisfy your need. Okay, if it's not going to satisfy your need, you're not going to buy it, regardless what the price is. Okay. Are there some compulsive buyers here? Not really. Oh, yes, you're a compulsive buyer. Shop online.
I stay away.
Oh, yeah. That's very dangerous.
I don't trust any online shopping.
You don't trust any online shopping?
I'm old. That person.
It's fine.
I trust takeoff and nothing else.
And Uber? Uber Foods? Not really.
Mr. Ian takeoff.
Yeah, I've had some experiences with both, but the majority of them have been good. Yeah, and I think a lot of customers are still are very much are very conscious still of the security issues and the privacy issues, and I can understand it completely. Okay, I think my dad started shopping online before I did. I was just also similar to you. Yes, question. I checked that because Carl asked me that. I checked it with our technical person yesterday, and then I made some changes to the settings. And I asked Carl to reply to me, and he still couldn't see it. She said to me that it sometimes happens. It sometimes happens that it's only visible on the data to submit, but it doesn't make sense to me because I know that I could see all the similarities. That's why I replied to him. I said, listen, he screenshotted me, and I said to him, I can see what you see, but I don't see that on our side. So I have taken it up with them this morning again. They're looking into it because, yeah, as I said, we sort of problem solving collaboratively with our journey on Canvas. But yeah, I'm aware of that, and I honestly don't know where the solution lies because I mean you obviously would like to know. I mean if you also are 37 and it's only permitted to be 30, kind of thing what the similarity is. But we'll sort that out just after this period. I'll immediately go to Michelle again. Okay, no problem. Right. Anybody else? Anybody else had problems? Anybody that has submitted who couldn't see the similarity score?
Sir,
Yes.
how many submissions are we allowed?
Submissions are unlimited, but obviously the amount of documents that you can submit is only once. It's only one document.
The reason I'm asking is because in the guideline, it says it needs a Turnitin reports screenshot attached.
It's not necessary because I can see the similarity. It pops up immediately when I start the grading. It gives you more. It gives you a percentage. I can actually download it. It's not necessary for you to also submit that too. And I know it says that in the guidelines, yes, but it's not necessary.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jaden. It's okay.
So what is the percentage of similarity that we're allowed?
The guideline that we use is 30, but we use our discretion. I mean, I'm not going to shoot you down if it's 32, because I mean that's close enough. And if it's above 50 and 60, if it's a very high percentage, then obviously then what I do is I would immediately I will contact the student and, to address that. But the guideline that we use because it's very, very seldom that you get a 0% similarity.
Yes,
but the guideline we use is 30%. Yes.
Weird things like if you put a heading.
Yes.
Or yeah.
Yeah, that's the challenge, and I think that's that's why we lenient up to 30%.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Anybody else? I don't mind any interruptions during today's session if it's related to your assignment. I know that's important. And obviously, if an assignment is not submitted correctly, it means that it's extra work for me as well because you have to resubmit and I have to notify you. So at the end of the day, I'd much rather have a sort of a all documents are going to be different, but all documents in the same format, and then it's easy. Then the marking is not easy because it takes time, but it's still. We still have 2 weeks. You have next week and the week after, and then you have a study week.
2 weeks to exam.
Sorry, sir.
Yes.
Can I ask one more question? I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm asking you a million questions, but
No, we count. It's 997. No, sorry, Luca. Yes.
So with the infographic, I didn't use Canva. I used Procreate because I did it by hand.
Yes.
So would that still be okay as long as there is an infographic? It doesn't matter what platform.
No, you're not going to be penalized because you use a different platform. No, it's fine. I mean, we had this question in class at the start as well, and I said whatever you're familiar with and whatever you're comfortable with, use that. I'm not going to. That's not a restriction, and you're not being assessed on that specific. Have you used the correct tool? Regardless of how you got your infographic, yes, Mika, it doesn't matter to me. It will be accepted as long as if it's not included, then you get nothing. But I mean, if you use a different tool, it's fine by me, really.
Thank you, sir.
Sure, no problem. Now it's 998. So you've got
I got to 1,000. So
you've got 900 and I don't know. I'm like I'm bad with maths. Those kind of maths. 1 million minus 998. That's still a lot left. No, you're still fine. You can ask many questions for the rest of the year. Well, if there's a million ways to die in the West, there's also probably a million questions that you can ask, and that's fine. Right, price, people. Price is what you find on that little tag, or sometimes you find it on a shelf if you buy a product. That's what the company has decided to sell the product for, based on what they cost to produce it or to get it there on the shelves for you. If that is similar to what you see as value, in other words, you're prepared to exchange what's in your wallet for what they are offering, then there's a transaction. There's a exchange that's mutually beneficial and that satisfies your needs because you're getting the product that you want, and the business's needs are satisfied because they have made a sale and can make profit. Okay. All those items that are sold, plus the individual prices that they were sold at, in total adds up to revenue. But you've just had accounting. I don't have to tell you that. Okay, and then obviously the difference between the two, what it cost you and what you sold it for, is your profit. And hopefully there is one. It might not be initially, but there will be some at some stage during your business, your number of transactions, you'll make a profit. Right. Very important. Very important. The price must be perceived as valuable. If I pay $5 for this, do I think that's a good deal? So everything has a sort of a price. There's a limit on certain items that you are prepared to pay. If you can afford to pay it, that you are prepared to pay. People very often, if a price is too high, people think, you know what? No, I'll rather go for an alternative. Or sometimes, again, the perception of the customer is that if something is more expensive, it must be of a better quality. The reverse is also obviously true. Sometimes where businesses drop their prices, all of a sudden customers start thinking, what's wrong? Is there something wrong with this product? I'm trying to get rid of it. Why is it so cheap all of a sudden? So the reverse perception is also true when customers consider prices. Right. Price can give your business a specific a competitive advantage. We'll get to that later in the chapter. But sometimes businesses do position themselves, and we'll deal with positioning and price as a tool to position yourself in a particular industry. Woolies is a classic example. They've positioned themselves. Apple, another example. They've positioned themselves in the market as a high quality, expensive product. Simple as that. Who shops at Woolies? Who know of people who shop at Woolies? The perception is that Woolies have better quality products because their products are slightly more expensive. I'm not exactly sure if it's true. I shop at different shops, but I have been loyal, and when it comes to buying fruits and veg, I do not buy at any other place than Woolies. I believe that the fruit and the vegetables are of a better quality because I experienced it. I can see in the fridge. You buy some butter lettuce and you open it and you use it for a salad, and there's some left over. You want to use it tomorrow. Some supermarkets become soggy. It's not really that nice. Woolies is still crisp. It's still, yeah, and I like that, and I think the majority of people like that because it's never packaged in a size that actually is sufficient. There's always something left over, regardless if it's the end product that you've made with it or that's still left in the package that you haven't, that you didn't need to use because of the number of people that actually had to be, that was part of that meal. And either which way, if you can't use it again, people feel that it's not valuable because the quality is not that great. Right. Again, like with our marketing orientations, we have 3 different strategies that orientations, objectives that businesses have for setting prices. Businesses set their price strategy because they want to maximize their profits. Okay, that's one strategy. Profit orientated, maximize your profits. You just want to sell as much as possible, and the profit is the bottom line for your business. Then you also have your sales orientation. That's where they are trying to maximize the number of sales. So price is the issue, but price is part of that strategy. Can vary from different products, but they just want to sell a certain number of units. Okay, so it's to ensure that that you still make a profit, but it's not the pricing strategy is not pegged specifically to make a big profit, just to make a large number of sales. Okay. For many businesses, and again, depending on the industry that you're in, for some businesses that might reflect, that might show that the number of units that they are sold is quite high, but they might have positioned themselves in the market as a company based on what the orientation was that we did in the first chapter. If it's important to them to have high volumes of transactions or to sell less, let's compare a retail outlet or the retail industry with maybe an exclusive product like expensive jewelry or businesses selling Lamborghinis and Ferraris. They are not going to chase. They're not sales orientated. Okay, it's not about the number of units that they sell. Okay, for business like McDonald's, for instance, or for Pick and Pay, it's about the quantity because the profit margins vary from one product to the other. The markup on a can of baked beans is maybe not as high as it would be on a packet of spaghetti. So again, the different product ranges and the different types of products, the product margins or the profit margins might vary. And then obviously you have also a status quo kind of pricing strategy or objective. That is to say, you know what, we're not going to compete in the market. We can, if Pick and Pay charges $10 for this item, we're going to be $9.99 or also $10. So they want to just keep the status quo in the market. They not want to compete based on price. They might want to add a few extra features later on to the product that they're selling, and people will then perceive it as maybe a better deal, a more valuable deal because they're getting more for the same price. Okay, but that's slightly different. But the status quo pricing objective is not to compete, but to match our competitors when it comes to price. It's a good strategy to start off with if you've launched a new product. You're not sure exactly what the price is, but because the product is already offered by other competitors, you can compare, and you don't want to price yourself out the market. Because imagine if you all of a sudden offer it for R5 more, R5 higher than your competitors. For customers to move from where they are currently buying to buy your product, they would have to get a lot of extra than what the existing products offer them for them to see the higher price as value. Okay, if it's cheaper, immediately customers think there's something wrong. Okay, so when you're entering a market with a new product, it's very good to actually have a status quo approach initially. If you see that things pick up and people actually enjoy and like the product, you can actually then change and have slight price increases to maybe chase the number of units that you sell or to focus on making a bigger profit. Right, let's look at price and demand. You've done this in accounting as well, huh? Not. Demand. What is demand? What's the difference between demand and supply? If I say, what is the demand for a particular product? What does it mean?
That's the amount of
Yeah, it's if there's a high demand for a specific product, it means that there's a high number of customers who want that product. Okay, so that's what the customers are asking. Yes.
So like for PPE products, like especially during COVID, like that's the demand.
Of course, yes. And the demand in this case, that's usually we have where there's an opportunity in the market. Because if the demand is much greater than the supply, then we're looking at alternatives. And sure, I don't want to do that. Well, there is some. That's not original, but it's wood. That's wood. Eskom load shedding. Yes, the demand is far greater than the supply at the moment. That's why we have load shedding. That's a classic example. Thanks, Eskom, for providing us with wonderful case study opportunities. Because, yeah. But yes, that's a classic example. Now, where does the opportunity in the market lie? The opportunity in the market lies there that you can actually now say, well, hang on. If there's a shortage, in other words, if there's more customers who want it, but not enough people that can offer them something to satisfy that that demand, maybe that's our gap in the market. Maybe we should. Hopefully, this happens in the case of our electrical supply. Yes, so the demand basically is the quantity of products that will be sold in the market in a particular period of time. Okay, in other words, because that's what the customers are asking. That's what the demand curves look like. If that's the price on the one axle and the quantity at the bottom, what happens to the demand if the price increases? If the price increases, will there more people want to buy it or not? No, it's going to come down. The reverse is also true. Price comes down. Yes, this is a good deal. More people buy. Okay, that's what they call the law of demand. If the price increases, demand goes down. If the price goes down, demand goes up. Now, the exact opposite is true when you look at supply. That's the supply curve. In other words, that's what the market is offering, or that's what the businesses are offering the market. Sometimes you have a situation where there are too many offering the same product, and there's too many products in the market, and not everything is sold. That's why the law of supply is exactly the opposite than that of demand. If the price increases, the supply will also increase. Because you are making more now, so you have more that you can actually spend on producing more. Okay. Now, we want to find ourselves an equilibrium in the market, and that's the equilibrium price. That's where the supply and demand basically cross each other. Okay. Then everything that we are producing are sold. There's no shortage. There's no excess stock. That's the ideal situation we want to be in. Okay. Now, I've got one somewhere. The elasticity of demand. What does that mean? Exactly what it says. What is this? Sareki. In English, we call it a elastic. I say elastic. Right. Where is something that I can use that's not plugged in? Where's my bag? Ah, yeah. This might work. Now, this could be a rope. This is a piece of cord. This is where it starts and this is where it ends. It's completely inelastic. You can't stretch. I can't make it longer and it returns back to its original. That is, when we talk about demand, which is inelastic, it means that if the price increases, what happens? Just think about it. If the price increases, we're talking about inelastic demand. If the price increases, it means that there's going to be no real difference in the demand. If the price increases, people are not going to necessarily buy more or less. They're going to pretty much buy similar, maybe slightly more, but not really. It's not. It's very much like this piece of cord. It very much stays the same. Excuse me.
Maybe even slightly less.
It could be, yes. But it's definitely not going to make a significant difference. If the price is elastic, this happens. People buy either more or less, but significantly more or less. If there's a change in price. Remember, change in price, not necessarily increase in price, a change in price, up or down. When the market is inelastic, pretty much stays there. Okay, status quo is pretty much kept. Where if it's elastic or flexible, it sometimes more, sometimes less, but definitely a significant difference. Okay. Could be even double sometimes, depending on the market situation. That's basically what we refer to. Okay, I've got to skip a few. This is the one that I've uploaded for you. I did say this one. This one I have to remove from Canvas because the pages I'm skipping now are the ones that we are not covering in this chapter. But the one I'm going to upload, I modified it last night. I just opened the wrong one this morning on screen. I will upload that when I do the announcement as well. Basically, is the slides, and there's no slides that you don't have to do. All the slides that we do in the vision I'm going to upload are the ones that you have to do for this particular course. Okay. Any questions? Anybody at this stage? Where are we now with time-wise? I've got no idea. It was such an up and down morning. Oh, we're making good time. Right. Anybody, any questions? How important is price to you when you buy a product? Depends what you buy. Most important. You mean it doesn't matter what... yeah, depends. But you should know. I don't drink those kind of things. Anyway, yes, for those online students in class, very much some have expressed themselves by saying that price is the most important thing for them when they're making a buying decision. It just emphasizes again how important it is for businesses to set a price correctly, or try and set it as correctly as possible. Right. During difficult times, like for instance in the case of inflation, you have different approaches that you can take. 3 approaches that we can take is the cost-orientated one. We've got your demand-orientated one, and then there are also some tactics to make demand more inelastic, more flexible, so to speak. Use a better word or a different word. Okay. What you can do, for instance, is some of the approaches that they've taken is the culling of products with low profit margins. In other words, they're sort of cutting on those products that have low profit margins. They're focusing just on the others that they're making. It can backfire on you because what happens is that even selling high volumes of those products in your product line that has a very low profit margin, if you sell a high volume of that, it still can make the entire product line profitable. Okay, what is 100 times 1? You had accounting now.
100.
That's 100, yes. Wow. Epiphany. Woo! Light just dawned. And then 0 times anything is? Exactly. So the fact is, if you're selling nothing of a product because you are not focused on selling this product in a difficult time where inflation has maybe resulted in increase in cost of living, interest rates might have gone up. These things happen. We're trying to focus rather on products that has a bigger profit margin. So we're trying to sell more of the ones that have a bigger margin, because that will then at least our profit will stay the same or even be higher. But forgetting about these that have that we make a very small profit on, if you actually continue to offer those products as well, but just selling more of them, it's going to still result in a positive, profitable product line in general. You can also have a delayed quotation pricing. what is delayed, and it's very much similar to the escalator pricing. Those two are very similar. What happens basically is no price is set for a product until it actually hasn't been manufactured. Okay, so we're not. This is our price, and then we geez, no, there's more extra cost. So now profit margin is going to be less. So the prices are only set once the product has been manufactured or once the product has been delivered. So basically, with that, you incorporate all the possible fluctuations of increased cost between the point where you started producing it and actually when it's available. It happens because the time it takes, your production time is so much longer during times of inflation. Okay, the periods that you extend to your suppliers to pay you, usually where it could have been 60 days, now becomes 90 days. So you're waiting for your money longer, and a lot can happen in that time. That's basically why it's escalator pricing or delayed quotation. So the price that you're going to offer, you just delay it, hold it back until you actually know we've done it. This is what it cost us, and we can just add our markup on that. Okay, it's not always possible, but it's a favorable approach to have during a difficult time where there's high inflation, which is currently where we are. Another problem that I think we've identified, or that was identified, and that it's horrifying numbers to me at the moment, is when the new employment stats came out earlier this week, I think on Monday or Tuesday. Reckon it's 32% of the population at the moment or unemployed. If you add to that the people who have given up, who's not even looking for jobs anymore, it exceeds 40%. It's closer to 42%. For me, the shocking part was that the majority of those, it's between the ages of 18 and 24. That's the troubling aspect of that came out from that stats to me, because yeah, that doesn't paint a clear picture. Looks as though most of you are going to become entrepreneurs, but that's I'm happy when that happens, because I mean it just and I know that you've been encouraged since very early on, I think, during your years at school as well, to try and find something that you and now obviously as a result of a pandemic, a lot of people were forced to be creative. I spoke to friends of mine who are in the music industry, and they're battling. And I said to them, listen, but it's strange to me, and I can understand you don't have gigs, and when you do have, you can only have a limited number of people at your shows. But my image of artists, musicians, actors, sportsmen, all in the entertainment industry, is that they are more creative than the rest. I can't paint a picture like that. I can't play a guitar like that. I mean, it's a specific skill in that I can't write a song like this. I mean, there's a lot of creativity that goes into that. And I would think actually that that would be the type of people who are more creative in difficult times like this. But I can understand that, yeah, it's just we haven't experienced the impact yet. There are a lot of economists who actually predict at the moment that far from it, the impact we will see for many years to come, but we are definitely not close to the end of the pandemic. I'm glad to see that you guys are still safe and healthy and good. Where I just can't talk with this thing, because then I don't know. Anyway, during times of recession, value pricing. Value pricing is and price bundling and price unbundling. Let's look at what those two things imply. Value pricing, it's where businesses now specifically target groups of customers that they know can afford a more expensive price, like the Woolies. So in other words, when in their promotions and in their marketing messages, they emphasize the quality. They specifically use words that selling a microwave, more space, more convenient, more user-friendly. They're using words that indicate to you that you're getting more, although you're actually paying the same. And that's what you usually do, because I mean, we know the first thing that happens when there's no money in your wallet is that you don't buy. And that's what you want to. People still have to buy, so you need to be very careful when you do your pricing during difficult periods, and how you manage your pricing, because all of a sudden the whole world is suffering. You can't just drop your prices because the cost has increased. Because and that's always the big challenge that we find, is that where do we absorb the price? Where do you absorb the increase in cost, for instance? Is it just a supplier, or is it maybe because the last group it should be is the consumer? So you need to maybe cut your profit margin slightly, and maybe try and sell a greater volume, but at a lower price, just to keep going. Because that's what a lot of it happened during the pandemic. It happened during the pandemic, and that's similar to what we usually see happen during any recession, because the impact of the pandemic is similar to what the impact of recession is on the economy. Right. Price bundling and price unbundling. Price bundling usually means that we are offering you a bit more for the same price. For instance, you book a weekend in a holiday, in a hotel, and they say, you know what, we'll include a dinner for two, one of the 2 evenings at a very fancy restaurant, a very exclusive restaurant. So you think you're getting more, and you actually are probably getting more, but it sounds of a better deal. So you're adding more extras to it. And the opposite is also true. For instance, where you're taking some of the features away. You're still paying the same price, but some of the functions that was included, you have to do yourself now, for instance. Okay, and that's just ways of, because customers are so price sensitive, especially when times are tough. The one thing they don't want is they want to pay more. They will buy the same, but if they buy more items for the same, although nothing has changed, they feel better. And somewhere it has to be absorbed. And the only way to do that is to have to negotiate. Some of the tactics is to negotiate with your suppliers. Maybe if you cut your price to us, and which you supply to us slightly, you can absorb some of the increase in prices. We'll come down in our profits that we take on a product, and then you sort of meet each other halfway. Or maybe we can send some of our experts out to assist you to reposition your business better, so the product will be maybe manufactured in a more efficient way, in a more cost-efficient way. Those are all tactics that businesses can use to try and manage the challenges that come with the recession, and the one thing that you can't manipulate. Remember, these are things that we find this just to we sort of also in the process doing some revision as well. Pricing and your pricing strategy, where would that fit into the market environment? Where does it fit into the marketing environment? Have you forgotten what the marketing environment is? Your price, are you talking about prices and pricing strategy now in different times? Normal times, or normal times, usual times, and then also in difficult times, inflation and recession. So your pricing strategy, where does that fit into your marketing environment? It's internal, of course it is, because you can manipulate it, you can control it, and that's. I'm glad that you can still remember these things. Good. I like that. But we'll do some proper revision towards the end of it. Oh yes, on the subject, people. Before anybody asks this question, I know the question may have popped up. I know it popped up in another class. Can you have access to old exam papers to help you prepare for the exams? Another question was asked. And I said to the other group, I'll find out, because I know a number of years ago when I started here, it was a possibility. Curriculums change. We changed the textbook, so it doesn't really stay the same. So sometimes it's not really relevant. But the official policy of Stadio is that we're not giving you access to old exam papers. Okay, simple as that. So in our revision and preparation for your exam, I pay a lot of attention to the aspects that is important in each chapter, and I pay a lot of attention into question construction. In other words, to help you interpret the questions and the way in which questions are asked better. Okay, you've had some exposure through a class test and the formal test, and that will help you. But it's going to be along those lines that we spend time on. What do they actually ask here? And remember the golden rule that I've also said to you. Look at the question that they ask and look at the mark allocation. If it says 5 times 3 and they ask you for 5 steps, you cannot just name the 5 steps. You have to explain or describe the steps. Yes, we go even one step further and provide you and ask you to provide an example. Or another way of asking you to provide an example is to motivate your answer. Motivate the answer that you've given or the choice that you've made. Okay, we'll get to that in more detail. It's important that we address that. But just, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. But your next big challenge is your exam, right? And don't be anxious about it. I mean, I didn't set the paper. Okay. So I didn't. No, I just moderated it. But the important thing is, you want to do well. I want you to do well. And also, the weighting of the paper, the exam, is 60% of your total module mark. That's why, yeah, put a lot of effort into that. And that's why I'm going to put a lot of effort into preparing you properly as well. Question time.
So, will the exam also be out on time?
Last time I checked, it was 100 marks, 3 hours. Yes, and it's online.
3 hours.
Yes. What does that mean? 3 hours. I've got more time to go through my textbook. You still have to know where to find it in your textbook. Okay. But remember now, also I've got some tricks up my sleeve. Oh no, I've got some tricks up my sleeve as well. Let me roll down my sleeve first. And that is to construct the questions in such a way that you can't just go back to the textbook.
Yeah, you use more application questions.
Of course, yes.
Used to do in the IB curriculum.
Yes. So there's no. That's why I know people hated it when I hated it at school. Yes, you're writing a history test tomorrow, but don't worry, it's an open book test. Oh no, sir. I hated open book tests because because it usually means that when it's open book,
The textbook is
you're not going to have enough time to use the textbook actually to search for answers. But no, we'll address all of those issues as we prepare for the exam. Okay, I'm done what I wanted to do today. Question time. Let's have a look at the chats first. Okay, Mika Kurtz, April currently load shedding. Oh my word! Yeah, we tend to forget about these things, huh? I'm very sorry, but the recording has happened, fortunately, and I will upload it this afternoon. I'm doing the upload. I'm doing the announcement for you about your changes in submission. And what else?
So,
The uploaded version of the slides. Okay. Yes, Jason.
with regards to load shedding, how are the exams going to work?
It's your responsibility, number one, to know when it will. You have to check your load shedding schedule, right? Okay, so you as a student have to prepare for that. Secondly, there is a support, Stadio support 08060 number that you can phone that will be in your exam instructions, right? At that instructions right at the top. That you can contact if something happens, and not just load shedding. If something else happens, that's technical. Okay, that's not. You can't contact me on that number to ask me about a question. That's not going to happen. But if it's technical issues, and then if you have studied the schedule to know when there will be load shedding, that's why we also have not limited the exam to be conducted between, let's say, 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock, or between 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock. It's available the whole day. It's a 24-hour window for you to complete the exam online. You can do it 2 o'clock in the middle of the night, or you can do it 2 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever time's best for you, and you can manipulate that around your load shedding schedule. Okay.
Okay, so thank you. And then one more question.
Sure.
A distinction is 75%, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Distinction is 50 is pass, and distinction is 75.
Okay, thank you.
No problem at all.
So why is the distinction 75% not 80?
Thanks, everybody. I'll chat to you again tomorrow morning, third period, sorry. Yeah, and it's 108. See, I started it before the class official time. Okay. Radio.
Hey, also the side. No. When you get to 49, you drink that. Okay. And an online for the orange. On C12. Which outline word? The color. I have one other. In color section, top row, last option. Oh. Last option. To C12, right? That's why I added. And get. And then what must happen after? And then you can. See, I run it. Mr. President. I said it was yeah, this thing is like